if you're a full supporter of President Jacob Zuma and you come to the comment section below to discuss ideology, this is not about ideology. This is not about ideology. This is not about celebrating the incarceration of former President Jacob Zuma. No, that's not the purpose of the video. And I'm not trying to defend anything. Hi guys, I thought I would share my opinion on the victory of the constitutional democracy of South Africa. And you know, ordinarily I don't necessarily get into politics, not openly anyway. And just some disclaimers: I am not affiliated to any political party, either as an African, a Nigerian, or someone that lives in South Africa and married to a South African. I, again, don't have any political affiliation. However, I will speak and share my opinion as an African, as a Nigerian, and as a South Africa resident. Again, it's a constitutional democracy victory. And why that? And that's how I see it. And that's what is going to guide my opinions. Why constitutional democracy victory is because and I'm talking about the eventual either arrest or the former president of the Republic of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, handing himself over to the South Africa Police Service. Whichever way it happened, what we now know, according to the press release by or the address by the Minister of Justice of South Africa, Mr. Lamula, is that the former president Jacob Zuma, is now in a prison. It's called escort prison. This is a very difficult issue. It's a very, very difficult issue because there are a lot of affiliations in terms of people taking sides. I am not taking sides in any shape or form. I am pleased with the rule of law taking its place in a constitutional democracy nation as South Africa is. And there are a lot of constitutional democracy nations in Africa. So like I mentioned earlier, that I'm sharing my opinion as an African, as a Nigerian that is resident in South Africa. In our modern history as Africans, we haven't seen it this way, where a former president that is in contempt of court would go to jail. It's new in our modern day history in Africa. Why so is because we've seen a lot of impunity across the nations of Africa, from the political leadership, where they do as they like and they get away with it. It's gross impunity. And this constitutional democracy, the victory or the enforcement of the law or the rule of law in the Republic of South Africa is setting a different tone across the continent to say that it is possible. To say that it is possible that even if you were a former president, if you are found guilty or in contempt of the court, you will be sentenced to jail, however short that is. As a Nigerian, I found it absolutely appalling that the rule of law is not upheld. I find it very appalling. Political leaders do anyhow and they get away with it. They get away with impunity. It is wrong. It is very, very wrong. I speak also as an entrepreneur because the economic advantage of having a nation that respects the rule of law is that nations either continent across the continent or globally would want to do business with such nation that honors or respects the rule of law, because they know that when they bring their money into such nation, should something go wrong, they can exit, at any point in time and take their investment somewhere without carrying too much loss. I speak from that angle also to say, what is the advantage of a constitutional democracy where the rule of law is well observed or respected? What's the advantage? It has a socio-economic advantage, even from tourism point of view. And I mean, because of COVID-19, the tourism industry, has been hit very hard, and obeying the rule of law and practicing true constitutional democracy in its full form, you know, would tell people outside of such nation, South Africa in this case, that they can go to such country and should something go wrong, they can get justice. So again, South Africa as a nation is setting a good tone for the rest of African countries to say that it's a message that condemns impunity, where political leaders do things, do anyhow, and get away with it. It should stop. It should stop. And I address the leaders, political leaders, from the federal government to the state government to the local government, to say that if you are elected, you know, some people say they are selected, but you know, that's not the purpose of this video. If you are elected to serve, do that under the precepts or the condition of the law. There is gross corruption in Nigeria across board, and that is destroying the strength of the constitutional democracy that we practice. That's number one. Number two, it's destroying the economy. I mean, just recently, the government of Nigeria is going to borrow, is it 5 trillion naira to supplement the budget deficit, you know. And this money they borrowing is for recurrent expenditure, so they are not borrowing to invest. I mean, who does that? Who does that? Who borrows trillions of naira for recurrent expenditure, like paying salaries? If your country or your economy, I mean, arguably they say it's Nigeria is the biggest economy in Africa. How is it that the biggest economy in a continent borrows for your current expenditure? How? Please let me know. I'm not an economist, you know. Let me know. I honestly want to know. You know, inflation of 18 point something, and food inflation in the north of 20 something percent, you know, if not 30% or thereabout. You know, the biggest economy in Africa, with a porous rule of law. I mean, I can go on and on about different examples that are open in the public. But again, the purpose of this video is to share my opinion and satisfaction of the victory of the rule of law and constitutional democracy in an African country. There is hope. there is hope. There is hope for our generation. There is hope for the young generation. There is hope for the upcoming generation in Africa to say it is possible to practice true constitutional democracy in Africa, where there is no fear or favor in the delivery of justice, let alone miscarriage of it. I hope that my country of birth, which is Nigeria, would learn from what we have seen. And I hope the leaders, political leaders across the nations of Africa would also learn from what we have seen happened in South Africa, so that when you are because I don't want to go into all the technicalities and the details. You can find that in the news media of how what the president did wrong. I ended up in to find himself in the contempt of the court, of the constitutional court, and ended up in jail. Go and search for state capture and follow it and all of that. Then go and do that research yourself. But it all starts from accountability, where the said former president is invited or was invited to come and account for the things that happened during his administration. And I think, either we experience state capture or not, in whatever magnitude, I think, it's actually a good thing to set up an inquiry, a commission of inquiry for every recently passed administration. So when an administration finishes, there should be a commission of inquiry into the success or lack of it thereof of the passing administration, so that we can then look at some of the things that they did wrong, and whoever is found guilty should pay the price. That will make the coming administration to sit tight and do the right thing. So accountability from political leaders that hold offices is highly needed, most especially in Africa. Again, I speak as an African, I speak as a Nigerian that is resident in South Africa. I apologize if you are not expecting this kind of political content on my channel, but I just needed to express my opinion on it, and how it also is good for business, is good for entrepreneurship, is good for small businesses development, and things around everything around economic development. Because the reason why Africa is struggling economically is because of corruption. And who are the people practicing? Yeah, maybe practicing it is. Because if you really look at it, it has become a culture, even tradition. And some people even practice corruption religiously. So corruption that is being committed by the elected political leaders is affecting the African economy negatively, and most importantly, the small business development space, because the money that is supposed to go into small business development is being embezzled or being channeled into all kinds of corruptive activities. And because of that, the small businesses are not supported with the finances or funding that is required or that they need. And because the small businesses can't survive more than few months or a year or two, they cannot scale the business to the level where they are able to employ others. Hence, the high rate of unemployment across the nations of Africa. So you see why I am addressing this constitutional democracy victory in South Africa. Because when political leaders know that they are not going to get away with impunity and corruption and all of these things, then they will sit tight, they will serve the people, and when they serve the people, they will spend the resources, financial resources specifically, in the right things, in the right direction: infrastructural development, youth development, small business development, education, health, and all of that. They will spend the money in the right things, and when they do that, the nations, the countries, they become prosperous, and we can then start seeing reduction in the unemployment across the continent of Africa, and our youth and upcoming generation also can blossom. That is the Africa we want to see, not this one that we are experiencing right now. It's very sad. It's very, very, very sad. That's my opinion. I know at some point turned into a rant and all of that. But anyways, thank you so much. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe, share the content with others, and leave your comments in the comment section below. What do you think? What's your opinion? And if you are a full supporter of President Jacob Zuma and you come to the comment section below to discuss ideology, this is not about ideology. This is not about ideology. This is not about celebrating the incarceration of former President Jacob Zuma. No, that's not the purpose of the video. And I'm not trying to defend anything. My focus is how this constitutional democracy and the rule of law that is upheld by the judicial system in South Africa, will set a tone, number one, for the political leaders in South Africa and across the continent of Africa, and the advantage of it when it comes to economic development, entrepreneurship, youth development, health, infrastructural development, and all of that. Once again, thank you, subscribe, and God bless you.